How are you doing right now?
I am feeling so at peace that I'm off that island with that bunch of crazies. So I'm feeling good, honestly.
Good. I mean, listen, a little birdie told me that you were probably also surrounded by a good amount of people that were giving you some love in the moment as well. So that also must have been, pretty loving, especially given, I think, some of the way that people were talking about you on the show.
Oh my goodness, can I tell you, it's such a sobering feeling because no one warns you how negative the internet can be. And as much as there's love, the negativity just feels amplified when it's about you and you're reading it. So to be in a room with people who were showing nothing but love for me, it was very healing. So I really appreciated it.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah,
unfortunately, we got to reopen some old wounds here and crack into.
into it.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna have a therapy session after this.
well, let's start with where things ended. How could we not? Because look, last week you watched Tiffany go to tribal council, thinking it's Q, goes out with an idol in her pocket. This time
Yeah,
you find the idol and you think, okay, it's gonna be Q this time.
I'm
You
different.
exactly. So talk to me about what made you feel different. Was it the tone of camp? Was it anything particular that was said to you? Was it, to your point, this plan to use it later?
Yeah, can I tell you honestly? I don't know if it was pride more so than it was risk taking behavior.
Mm,
I knew it was a 50-50 shot. Either I swayed Charlie was the swing vote essentially. He could have pulled people either way. Either he goes with Q on one side or me on the other. And I love roulette. I just like taking big risks. And I'm like, if this pays off, one of two things will happen. One, I get to use my idol at final six, or potentially win an immunity idol and use that final five, which is amazing. And two, it solidifies an alliance of some kind, which, as you can see in the show, my story arc and my struggle was just finding anyone and anything to like trust me and work with me, because I really did come in wanting to play a game of like ride or dies and loyalty. And I was trying a lot to like form that with Charlie. Obviously I wasn't successful, as we know. But I that was my goal essentially. I'm like, if this risk pays off, it has an amazing payoff. It has an amazing payoff because I get to solidify a connection with someone and I get to keep it an idol. So that was my mentality, and I knew it was touch and go. But you know, that's who I
well,
am, honestly.
Well, I want to stay on that Charlie note because yeah, it's this interesting relationship where you throw his name out at the first two individual votes, and
I
now it's
did.
now it's coming around to you wanting to appeal to him as the swing vote, and then you have this scene where you are saying, "Hey, I'm not going to say I have an idol, but there's a little something up my sleeve." So talk to me about that dynamic that you were just speaking about building, and what was your intention in saying those types of things?
So, in terms of the dynamic I was trying to build, from after the Moriah vote, from then on out, I sat down with Charlie and I said, "Listen, this is the game of Survivor. It was no hard feelings, and I would really love to work with you." And that was the beginning of a conversation that we continue to have. He did a great job of making me feel safe and like he trusts me. So that speaks a lot to his game. Like that's amazing. But I really thought we had some kind of basis there that we could work off of. But it really was, I guess it's my delivery. I come off, as I've come to learn, very sneaky, apparently, and very cagey, which I didn't know. In my mind, I'm being cheeky and cute, but it doesn't come off that way. But I was trying to build that relationship with Charlie, and that was like the moment to prove whether or not that amount of work was successful or not. And clearly it wasn't. Sorry, what was the second half of your question?
No, I mean, talk to me about, to your point, that's sort of like, I might have something up my sleeve.
Yeah. Okay. So for that conversation, when I started it, I was immediately like, shut up. Like I was like, abort, but like I had started the conversation with good intentions, might I add.
Hmm.
I really did want to work with Charlie. I wanted to use the idol with him at the next vote, but I didn't want to like allude to it too distinctly. And I wanted to give him a reason to keep me. And I guess this is where my misinterpretation came. I saw it as, ooh, this is an opportunity for the both of us. You get to use this too. I want to work with you. He saw it as, oh shit, Venus has something and that can screw over my game in the future, which is fair. I see that point of view now. In the moment, I didn't really see that. So that conversation is really what killed my game. That if I had not had that conversation with him, I would still be in the game for sure.
Well, let's talk about maybe in that instance, if you moved forward, were you sizing up who you wanted to take to the end? Because I mean, certainly, listen to the point about the fan community. People were talking a lot about like, does Venus have a chance to win? Should she make it to the end? What did you gauge your chances were, and who you wanted to sit at the end with?
Honestly, at that point, I thought if I could get past that vote, I had a chance. I had a path to win. I wouldn't say it was like the best chance, obviously, because jury management is really important in this game. But to have an idol and to have been such an underdog, that was literally I was starting like 20 feet before everyone else, you know, like I
Mhm.
was very much at a disadvantage. So there was a path to winning for sure. I wouldn't say that I was completely doomed, but there's a reason I took such a big risk because it would take a lot to convince people at the end and to deliver a convincing enough story. So yeah, I think I had some chance. As much as people like to say I would be a zero vote finalist, I think I would have gotten maybe one vote.
Well, you talk about starting 20 feet back. Let's go to the beginning of the race at the starting line because listen, you and I talked out there, right, about how you
Yeah.
felt that sometimes that first impression you give off might be a little bit cold, might have those walls up, and it ends up kind of becoming the self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. But talk to me about this because I know you had also said something last night to the effect of like how you felt first impressions really ended up, cascading, especially on Nami. So talk to me about your side of everything that was happening in that early period.
Oh my god, where to even begin? Let me just say, in the game of survival, I knew I was at a disadvantage from the beginning, just because of how important first impressions are. But what I didn't expect from this cast specifically was for first impressions and initial grudges to hold so strongly till the end. Sorry, I got
Okay.
a burp.
No, no problem.
There you go. I released it. I didn't expect it to hold so strongly. And what I want people to understand, and which I don't know if it was portrayed enough, is how badly Tevin and Q later on poisoned the well against me. Imagine, like, I feel like people who talk shit about me have never been bullied in their life because there was no rhyme or reason for disliking me so heavily other than they didn't like my face basically. But imagine the two most charismatic, talkative people on the island saying nothing but negative things about you, always having your name in their mouth, and always saying that you are chaos, you are sneaky, you are untrustworthy. Other people will internalize that, especially if they don't give you a chance to actually talk to you and get to know you as a person. They will internalize whatever the loudest voice in the room says to them. And that is something that I suffered with the entire game. It was very much the scarlet letter on me. Tevin being, the light of the ball that he is, like he really influenced a lot of people that I was not to be trusted. And you could see even Soda, someone who I adored and who I really connected with, even she stopped talking to me, even in like a friend, capacity outside of the game. Even she stopped talking to me because I was seen as such a pariah and a plague to everyone else's game. Which, can I just say, in the game of Survivor, there is no reason to ostracize an individual person. And it's especially cruel on an island where you have no other support system and no one else to talk to. It's especially cruel to just flat out ignore an individual's existence. And that was an extra psychological obstacle that I was dealing with that no one else had to deal with. I had no one that I could really speak to. So I feel like the game I was playing was very much like gasping for air at
Mm.
all times. It felt like I was continuously being pushed down to be drowned in the water in the Fijian seas, and I was just like I was clawing my way to the surface. So
Mm.
yeah, I forget what the question
No,
was.
no, that was perfect. I mean, to that point though, what I do find so interesting is that in the
Yeah.
way that we were reviewing your relationships with people, It was very open. It was very honest. You were often telling, things to people's faces. I guess culminating in, talking to tribal council about Maria and Q. Did that come from this? Was this just part of your natural personality to be, again, in a game of Survivor, so open?
Can I say something? I'll get
Please.
to your question, but can I just say something? You could even see it in this episode when Kenzie made a comment about how the only person who hasn't lied to me is Venus. I feel like that speaks to the character assassination that happened to me on the island. That was shocking to her, because let me tell you something about the people I was with, is that there was a lot of projection and a lot of, let me say, egos that didn't enjoy having a mirror held up to their face. I am everything that they described about me, they were doing themselves, but they were doing with the very false veil of fake positivity. I was the only person who was doing what they were doing, but I was being open and honest about it. Like, we're all going to be sneaky. We're all going to be shady. We're all looking for an idol. Like, let's be real here. Let's have an open conversation about it. And they honestly didn't like how straightforward I was. I was honestly, I would have been the best person to have an alliance, because I will always tell you what my opinion is. I will always tell you what I'm thinking, and I always be open-minded to change. I never let any grudges stop me from working with someone at any point. And before each person's vote out, Soda, Tevin, Hunter, way before that they were voted out, when I knew that they were the vote, when I knew it was their name, because as much as people don't believe it, I was a part of those conversations. But before each of their vote outs, I remember I approached each of them, and I once again pled my case, because in my mind, I would have loved to stay Nami strong. You don't have to like me as a person to work with me. And I tried so hard once again before each of their eliminations to try and like gain some sense of trust and camaraderie. And they flat out just ignored me and did not want to speak to me. And I feel like it played a part in their own downfalls. So karmic justice, you know? You had an original question. I'm sorry. I'm going
No, no, please. Like, listen, this is your conversation. Feel free to go wherever you want to. When it comes to like being so open about disagreeing
yeah.
with people, I mean, I guess most recently talking about Maria's choice at the reward. I mean, was this something that was incorporated into that attitude, or was this always kind of just like, this is what Venus does?
Like, honestly, that conversation with Maria at Tribal, it felt like the last straw. Maria, honestly, out of everyone else who has wronged me on the island, I was the most disappointed with Maria's behavior towards me, because I looked up to her a lot. And I said this to her, I respected her a lot. To be a woman of color and to be so strong, she is who I wanted to be, to be when I was older. But I'm very much a girl's girl. This is no secret. Woman, life, freedom for a reason. I'm very much a type of person who wants to uplift other women. And for her to treat me so poorly, and to even, she has approached me and said that there is no universe where she would have ever worked with me, which is like completely uncalled for. It's very heartbreaking. It's very heartbreaking. And I feel like in that moment in Tribal, I had just like, it was the last straw. I was so fed up with this fake persona she had put on for the cameras, when in reality, her behavior was very sinister to me. It was very fake, because all of the comments she had in her confessionals were things that I was aware of myself, and that I had confronted her about, and I had apologized to her about at the very beginning before the soda vote. I knew that she didn't trust me, and you didn't see this in the show, but I pulled her aside and I said, listen, Maria, I'm, not to use the young card, but like, I'm a young person. I'm trying. I'm like willing to learn. I want to be a better version. I want to be able to communicate well with you. I want you to trust me. Like, please, like, call me out on my shit. Let me know if I'm saying anything that turns you off. I really want to work with you. I really want to talk with you. So to see her, and this was really Maria's biggest character flaw, she kept thinking that no one would want to come up to her or work with her or talk to her, the women specifically, when that's all I ever did. I would always come up to Maria and pitch a plan because she would ask me, what's the plan? Like, what's your idea? She would never pitch a plan to me, but I was always trying to work with her. And so it was just really heartbreaking that she saw no universe where she could have worked with me. And sorry to keep going, but I just want to say her behavior after that challenge was like the most difficult thing to be put through, because she made us stand out there for 10 minutes in the baking sun after that challenge to make her goddamn decision. Like, I don't care who you take to pizza at this point. Just pick someone so I can go and sit on the damn boat and like actually like take a breath, because I was exhausted. We were all exhausted. You could see Charlie and Kenzie dropped out too, because it had been such a long time of her trying to make a decision. And it was just it's so frustrating. And I'm gonna keep going. It's even more frustrating that she picked Q and Liz for the rock, paper, scissors. And you could see even her conversation later, she never said, oh, poor Venus or anything. She was not, everyone there saw me almost fall off the pier because I could barely walk in a straight line. That's how much weight I lost. That's how much I was struggling. And before it broke my heart that she said, plead your case. I'm not gonna beg, because you know what I'm struggling with. Q went to Applebee's. Liz has a full container of rice that she like would share some of it with, but obviously that was her rice. I had eaten nothing. So she didn't even consider me, but her whole farce was, oh, I want to pick someone who's really struggling, you know, who's really suffering. Like, shut up, please. Like, that's not what you want to do. Own up to your shit. Like, this is what bothers me, is that everyone takes issue with the way I'm so direct, but at least I'm honest. Don't put on a fake air of positivity. I hate that shit. I hate it so much. Sorry, I just went on a
No, please. I mean, the last thing I want to ask you about is you bringing it back to women, life, freedom. I mean, you and I spoke out there about, you know, the fact that you were representing one of only a couple of Persian contestants in Survivor history. Obviously, you drew a spotlight to your parents' history and everything going on with women in Iran. And, you know, we spoke about the fact that you didn't necessarily want to serve as like the sole representative of that community. But of course, I imagine being on the show, you have received probably so much feedback and so much reception from people within that community. Talk to me a bit about that.
Oh my goodness. Can I tell you? It at the end of the episode, when they showed my final words and I was able to speak on that and say the words woman, life, freedom, I broke into tears, and I'm about to cry right now because it means so much to me. It is absolutely heartbreaking what is happening in Iran right now, what those women have to go through. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna cry.
No,
it's heartbreaking, and especially because like my entire family is there and they're dealing with very dangerous circumstances, and a lot of people are confused as to, well, they conflate the two. They think that my loud mouth, as they put it, my openness to speak my mind as cocky or arrogant, but in reality, you know what it is? So much of my family, my friends, and my people back in Iran, they don't even have the right to speak openly. And here I am, I was gifted the privilege to speak my mind and to not receive any form of like severe punishment for it. So I went into this game saying, yes, I could play the safe game and be quiet, or I can use my voice the way I wanted to, the way I'm advocating for other women to, and be that confident person that I see in Iran, like the confident women there who are speaking their minds and putting their own lives at risk. This is such a tiny thing in comparison that of course I'm going to speak my mind. Of course I'm going to come off as arrogant. I don't care. But the last thing I'm going to do is censor myself and to remove myself of my own agency in the game. Everyone kept like when Q said that I should have been grateful for the Charlie Mariah vote, that I should have been grateful it wasn't me. That is exactly the problem with society as a whole. And people forget this. Survivor is a social experiment. It's a microcosm of society, and the internal and subconscious biases that exist in us as individuals, it's amplified in this very tiny sphere, in this tiny community we've created. So to look at an outspoken woman and to think that she is being ungrateful speaks to exactly what the problem was on that island. I wasn't ungrateful. I was just trying to have a conversation. I was just trying to get my opinion across. And that was seen in such a negative light. And it's heartbreaking to watch back, honestly, because sorry, back to the original point I was trying to make. This issue is very important, and I'm glad no matter what game I played that I was able to just be a part of the conversation and to increase representation. And I hope to see so many more Iranian players in the future. So
Yeah.
that's all I
I'm
wanted.
I mean, I am so, so happy that you've spoken your mind, both on the show and here as well. Not only highlighting these issues, but to your point, I think speaking from that to inform your game and who you are as well. I think it is not only so important, but allows us to get to know you as the wonderful person that you are. And so I, I thank you so much, sincerely, for everything. I loved from us talking out there in Fiji to talking now. It was such an
Yeah.
entertaining time getting to watch you. Obviously, I know it was far from the most ideal experience for you, but I hope that, as we talked about in the beginning, the love that you felt in that room last night is, a reminder of like how much you brought to this season. It was an absolute pleasure, Venus.
Yes, thank you so much. And it was a pleasure talking to you on the island, and an even bigger pleasure talking to you now. Unfortunately for my exit interview because I got eliminated, but still,
Well,
so
I
happy
wish
to
I wish you and your family nothing but the best, Venus. Thank you
thank you.
again so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Of course, have a
Okay.
great day.
You too.
Bye
Bye.
bye.